The Song of the Realms by Sven Clarkson. In the twilight hours before dawn, Lyra woke with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. The dream, more vivid than ever, clung to her consciousness like a shroud. She saw dragons and humans locked in fierce battle, their forms blurred by smoke and flame. Above them all, a great sorcerer raised his arms to the sky, tearing the very fabric of reality asunder. As the realms split apart, Lyra felt an overwhelming sense of loss, as if a part of her own soul had been ripped away. She sat up in her small bed, pushing back her long, dark tresses. The first light of day had not yet touched the horizon, but already she could hear it, the haunting melody that had been her constant companion for as long as she could remember. It drifted on the wind, ethereal and urgent, calling to her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Lyra dressed quickly, her fingers fumbling with the ties of her simple tunic. She paused only to grab her family's heirloom, an ancient stringed instrument worn smooth by generations of hands. As she stepped out of her small cottage, the cool morning air embraced her, carrying with it the song that only she could hear. The path to the cliffs was familiar, worn by her frequent pilgrimages to listen to the wind's strange music. Today, however, the melody seemed different, more insistent, as if time itself was running out. Lyra's bare feet carried her swiftly over the dewy grass, her heart keeping time with the urgent rhythm in the air. At the cliff's edge, Lyra paused, her pale blue eyes scanning the misty horizon. The song swelled around her, no longer just a whisper but a symphony that seemed to emanate from the very earth and sky. With trembling hands, she raised her instrument and began to play. At first, her notes blended seamlessly with the wind's song, creating a harmony so beautiful it brought tears to her eyes. But as she played on, trying to capture the full power of the melody, something changed. The sky above her began to crack, fissures of light spreading across the heavens like spiderwebs. Lyra's fingers faltered on the strings as she watched in horror. The cracks widened, and through them poured creatures she had only ever seen in her dreams, dragons with scales of emerald and sapphire, their wings blocking out the rising sun. From the other side came humans dressed in strange, ancient garb, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. Chaos erupted as the two worlds collided. Dragons roared, humans screamed, and the very air seemed to vibrate with the clash of realms that were never meant to meet. Lyra's music, which she had hoped would bring healing, had instead torn open the wounds between worlds. Overwhelmed by the destruction she had caused, Lyra fled from the cliffs, her instrument clutched tightly to her chest. She ran blindly into the forest, tears streaming down her face as the sounds of battle faded behind her. Ancient ruins loomed out of the mist, their weathered stones depicting scenes of dragons and humans living in harmony, a cruel reminder of what had been lost. Deep in the heart of the forest, where the trees grew so thick they blotted out the sky, Lyra finally stopped. She sank to her knees, gasping for breath, her mind reeling from what she had done. It was then that she heard it, a low, rumbling breath that seemed to shake the very ground. Slowly, Lyra raised her head. Before her stood a dragon unlike any she had ever imagined. Its scales, once a vibrant emerald, had faded to a muted green streaked with silver. Golden eyes, filled with ancient wisdom and profound sadness, gazed down at her. At last, the dragon spoke, its voice like distant thunder. "The last dragon singer has come." Lyra could only stare, her voice caught in her throat. "I am Kaldar," the dragon continued, lowering his massive head to better see her. And you, child, have much to learn if you are to mend what has been broken. I didn't mean to, Lyra stammered, finding her voice at last. I was trying to play the song, to understand it. But everything went wrong. Kaldar's eyes softened. The Song of Realms is not a tool to be wielded, young one. It is a bridge, a means of healing the divide that has plagued our worlds for centuries. You cannot force harmony, you must create it. As Kaldar spoke, he unfolded a tale of ancient times when dragons and humans shared one realm, living in harmony. But fear and mistrust grew between them, stoked by a powerful sorcerer who sought to gain power from their conflict. In a cataclysmic event, this mage tore reality apart, splitting the world into two separate realms, one for dragons and one for humans. The separation was devastating, disrupting the natural balance and severing age-old bonds between the races. In the aftermath, dragon singers emerged, rare individuals with the ability to hear the music of both realms. They became the bridge between the divided worlds, using their gifts to maintain what little connection remained. But as centuries passed, the dragon singers dwindled, and the memory of unity faded into myth. Lyra listened, her heart heavy with the weight of this forgotten history and the enormous responsibility that now fell to her as the last of the dragon singers. But why me? She asked when Kaldar had finished. I'm no one special. I'm just Lyra. It is precisely because you are Lyra that you can do this, Kaldar replied. Your heart is pure, your intentions true. You seek not to control, but to understand. That is the essence of a true dragon singer. A distant roar echoed through the forest, reminding them of the chaos that still raged beyond. Kaldar's expression grew grave. Time grows short. If the rifts are not sealed by sunrise, the damage will become permanent. Both worlds will fall into endless chaos. Fear gripped Lyra's heart. But how can I fix this? I don't know how to play the song correctly. The bravest acts, Kaldar said gently, are those that mend what has been broken. You must play not from a place of power or control, but from a desire to heal. Let your heart guide your hands, and the song will follow. With Kaldar by her side, Lyra made her way back to the cliffs. The sky was a tapestry of cracks, the two worlds bleeding into each other in a dizzying kaleidoscope of reality. Dragons and humans clashed in the air and on the ground, neither understanding that they were not enemies, but long-lost kin. Lyra raised her instrument once more, her hands shaking. But as she looked out at the battle before her, she remembered Kaldar's words. This wasn't about power. It was about healing. She closed her eyes and began to play. This time, she didn't try to capture the song of the wind. Instead, she played the song of her heart, a melody of longing, of hope, of the desire to bring together what had been torn apart. As the notes flowed from her fingers, a hush fell over the battlefield. Dragons and humans alike turned to listen, drawn by the haunting beauty of the music. The cracks in the sky began to shimmer, their jagged edges softening. Lyra played on, pouring every ounce of her being into the song. She played for the dragons and humans who had lived in fear for so long. She played for the world that had been broken, and for the peace that could be. As the first rays of dawn touched the horizon, the last notes of Lyra's song faded away. The cracks in the sky sealed themselves, leaving behind a sky more vibrant and alive than any had seen in centuries. Dragons and humans stood side by side, gazing at each other not with hatred, but with wonder and curiosity. Exhausted, Lyra lowered her instrument. Kaldar stood beside her, his golden eyes shining with pride. "You have done well, young singer," he rumbled. "The realms are one once more." But as Lyra looked out at the gathered crowds, she saw that while the physical divide had been healed, the emotional wounds remained. Humans still eyed dragons warily, and dragons kept their distance, unsure of their place in this new, united world. "It's not over, is it?" Lyra asked softly. Kaldar shook his head. "No, child. This is but the first step on a long journey. True healing takes time, patience, and continuous effort. Your song has opened the door, but it is up to all of us to walk through it together." Lyra nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. She raised her instrument once more, and began to play a gentle melody. It was not the powerful Song of Realms, but a simpler tune, one of friendship, of new beginnings, of hope. As she played, a young dragon cautiously approached a group of human children. One brave child reached out a hand, and after a moment's hesitation, the dragon lowered its head to meet the touch. Around them, others began to follow suit, tentative greetings, curious questions, the first fragile threads of trust being woven. Lyra's music became a backdrop to this new world, a constant reminder of the harmony that was possible. She knew that there would be challenges ahead, old fears to overcome and new understandings to forge. But as she watched dragons and humans taking their first steps towards true unity, she felt a surge of hope. And in that moment, watching the sunrise over a world reborn, Lyra vowed to keep playing her song of healing for as long as it was needed. For she understood now that peace was not a destination, but a journey, one that would require courage, compassion, and the willingness to harmony even in the face of discord. And as the new day dawned on this united world, Lyra knew that her greatest adventure was only just beginning.